first part of this video is a collection of tips on how to think like a programmer. When we build computer models and simulations, we eventually get to the point where we have to explain things to the computer. This step can be slow going for the first several conversations we have with the computer. The challenge is this: computers are very picky about the words or commands that we use. They just can't handle ambiguity as well as people can. Computers need things laid out very precisely and logically. This feature of computers actually works very much in our favor when we build computer models, because an important aspect of creating these models is looking very closely and logically at how the parts of the system that we're building interact. Talking to or giving instructions to a computer is called programming. And programming is a skill that you get better and better at the more you practice. I find it helpful to remind myself and my students that there are certain attitudes or dispositions that can make the process of learning to program more fun and at the same time more rapid. So first of all, mistakes. You never should feel bad about making a mistake. Mistakes just come with the territory. Computers don't care if you make a mistake, and you shouldn't either. In fact, I like to tell my students that they need to make 1,000 mistakes before they can program with any fluency. So you should just get started. If you can't learn something from a mistake, it's better just to move on. Just do something else. But if you can learn something, so much the better. The willingness to make mistakes is really an aspect of a uniquely human quality, the tolerance for ambiguity. Frequently, when programming, you'll find yourself uncertain of how to proceed, or perhaps even very certain that you're going down the wrong path. In a situation like this, computers grind to a halt, but effective learners just muddle through and learn things along the way. The second attitude or disposition that I think is valuable is curiosity or playfulness. Curiosity means it's more than just having fun. It's a best way to rapidly figure out how to create programs that work. When you're curious, you poke around in the interface, you run little experiments to see what this or that setting does. If you know how to do one thing, you do it, but then modify it. You build something, then break it. Ask questions. This is how young children interact with the world when they're new to everything. This is a good approach for any learner to take. It is, however, an approach that may be foreign to those of us who have built professional teaching careers around being masters of our content area. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the world of computer programming is so vast that there really are no masters. We're all learners at different stages, but always a learner. The next attitude that will help tremendously as you learn to program is the recognition that you're not alone when you program. There are a wealth of resources available to help you learning programming. Understanding how to quickly access the learning resources that you need is a part of becoming a competent programmer. Documentation, online groups, the person sitting next to you, email to a mentor. There are a variety of ways to get questions answered. As you gain experience asking questions, consulting the help documentation, learning how to get unstuck, your work goes faster and faster, and you'll find yourself tackling increasingly ambitious and interesting problems. You will also find that your network of resources keeps growing and that your projects become ever more collaborative. The next attitude, perhaps implied in all the attitudes that I've mentioned so far, is the willingness to be persistent, to have confidence tackling open-ended, complex problems, and to stick with it. There's no way around it. Programming takes time. If you find ways to break big problems into a bunch of little problems, you'll find some satisfaction in finding the solution to those little problems. If you can't solve those little problems, just go back to something you can do and experiment there some more. If you keep trying, keep making progress, you will eventually become comfortable programming and able to tackle truly interesting problems. Finally, take pride in your models. An important aspect of programming is the fact that when you've done something, you have something. It's usually unique and it does something. Show it off, put it to work, post it online. Programming naturally builds communities of people who share in the struggles, but also celebrate the victories of its members. We believe that experiencing the excitement of discovery firsthand will open doors for you and your students.
Hi everyone, I'm Melody Hageman. I'm a science and computer science teacher, and I've been working with Project GUTS to help students explore using models in scientific inquiry for a number of years. The second part of this video is from Karen Brennan's talk on how to get unstuck. Karen is a professor of education at Harvard and was the developer of Scratch Ed. In her talk, Karen recounts her experiences working with teachers. She thinks about how to use Scratch in classrooms across curricular areas. Teachers fear that students are going to get stuck. They ask, what if we cannot make progress? How can I help my student? Initially, Karen's answer was to use the online community. But then she wondered, how do kids without teachers get unstuck in the wild? So she asked kids, how do you get unstuck? Here are the top 6 strategies. 1. Read through your code. Your code holds all the answers. The computer is simply following your instructions exactly. Tracing through code step by step, as if you were the computer processing the instructions, will help you find errors in your logic or missing steps. 2. Experiment with your code. Try rearranging the order of statements or reconceive of the grouping of commands. You won't break the computer, but you could break your code, so make backup before you reconfigure. 3. Look for examples, such as other programs that do similar things. It's not cheating or stealing to learn from other people's code if what you take away is understanding. 4. Work with someone else. Collaborate and consult with others. 2 heads and 2 sets of eyes are often better than 1. 5. Acknowledge that it is hard and you need persistence. Programming, like puzzling, is hard mental work, but building up your brain power is like building up muscle. With practice and persistence, it will grow. 6. Take a break. Sometimes a break is just what you need. Getting some fresh air and/or stepping away from the computer can give you a much-needed break. And often you can come back to a problem with a new perspective. But, you might ask, how do these strategies help me as a teacher? The answer is, your students may not need you in the way you think they need you. You do not need to be the expert. Your role can shift from sage on the stage to guide on the side. Don't get stuck thinking about an old version of teaching. Amazing things can happen when the students teach the teacher.